ladies and gentlemen, to Longbox Chronicles Month here on Reaction and Review. Tonight, guys, I'm taking a look at another television pilot, or rather made for TV movies / television pilot. And this one, though, unlike my previous pilot I covered, which was the Justice League movie, this one actually led to a show being made. So this one might actually be a little bit better. This one was made back in 1990, and it's The Flash. Yeah, guys, I know that I mentioned the Flash TV show, the one from 1990, when I was reviewing the Justice League pilot, and I mentioned the costume, because that's really all I've ever seen, is just a picture of the Flash's costume from the 1990 show, and it looked amazing, especially when compared to the absolute fucking abomination that they churned out in 97 for the Justice League movie. But I'm not going to dwell on that, because goddammit, I don't want to think back about the fucking Justice League movie. So, I don't know if this is going to be any good. I don't know what the plot of the pilot is. I'm going to assume it's going to cover the Flash's origin, which is probably going to be kind of interesting. But yeah, I never had a chance to watch this back in 1990. I never had a chance to watch the show back in 1990. So hell, if this thing here is, any good, I do know that the show is on DVD. I may have to pick it up again if this is any good. But the only way to find out is if I shut the fuck up and I dive right into this thing. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out The Flash. So wait a minute here. So this doctor is able to mention all of Barry Allen's cuts, scrapes, bruises, and his fucking exposure to various chemicals. Never once does he mention the fact that the man was struck by fucking lightning. I kind of thought that would be a rather important part to all this. No. Cuts, scrapes, bruises, chemicals. Sure. Struck by lightning? Nah, fuck that. We don't have to mention that. So far, though, this is pretty good, but you would think a doctor would mention that. Okay. I have a small question. If you find yourself suddenly running really fucking fast, so fast, in fact, that you are running on fucking water, why would you stop while still over the water? I'm sorry, guys, I kind of thought, you would just keep on going until you were back on land before stopping. But apparently Barry Allen wanted to go for a fucking swim. Wow. Alright. I'm gonna say this right now. Out of all the villains that they could have put into this Flash pilot, is there a reason why they had to create a bullshit motorcycle gang? I mean, okay, yes, I totally understand that the Flash's like roster of villains kind of sucks, but I honestly think that if they would have taken like Mirror Master or Trickster or Captain Cold or something, at least it might have been a little bit more of a plausible threat. Instead of this really half-assed like motorcycle gang. I'm just mentioning. I mean, the movie's good, but god damn it, the villains really suck. Alright, so we have a member of this big, fearsome, evil biker, gang who just wiped out on... That almost looks like a shake. So, wiped out on her fucking motorcycle because she hit the brakes. How the fuck do you make it into a motorcycle gang when you can't even use the fucking brakes and stop the motorcycle correctly? I'm really kind of curious. And it was a she. What do you know? Oh my god, did they just make a joke that the Flash is quick in bed? Holy shit, they fucking did. Alright, that was really fucking cool, alright? I am going to have to give them credit. I never really thought they would have gone there, but sure as shit they fucking did. That's awesome. So the Flash is worried about the cops getting wasted by the motorcycle gang and all of the convicts who they just broke out of prison. Even though it's pretty clear right now that the only things which are in any real danger here are windows and masonry, because god damn it, no one in this thing knows how to fucking shoot. Well, folks, that was The Flash. Let me shut this off real quick. So, where to start with this one? I think it's time we start with the writing. Now, I know I bitched about this earlier, but I kind of feel that it has to be mentioned again. Because, mind you, this was the pilot for what was at the time a potential Flash television show. I don't care that it actually got to be made and that it got to run a full season. The fact of the matter is, this thing was supposed to get you set up and was supposed to sell you the viewer, as well as to sell the network on the very concept of a Flash television show. And normally when you're working with superheroes, you want to have supervillains to go with them, which is why normally like Batman, Superman, you always see like their bigger foes the first time out. Be it the likes of Joker or Brainiac, stuff like that. The Flash, unlike Batman and Superman, does not have a deep or even threatening gallery of villains to pick from. So, really, it would have been a bit tough to have picked a Flash villain who I think would have been perceived as a threat. However, though, with the correct writer, they could have taken like Captain Cold or the Mirror Master, and they could have made them into a true threat, which would have been a good way for the Flash to get his fucking feet wet in the world of television. However, instead of giving us one of the Flash's established villains, we wind up with a motorcycle gang. A very bland, very lifeless motorcycle gang, which almost seemed like the kind of thing you would have seen in, say, like the 1970s Hulk show, or on the fucking A-Team. Like villains who are just so stock and so bland and so fucking generic, it's not even funny. However, this thing was able to take that and run with it, and I don't know how the hell they were able to pull it off, but god damn it, they did. I think it might have had something to do with the fact that the leader of the motorcycle gang, Pike, they wrote him as a very charismatic leader, almost fucking akin to a cult leader, because everything he says gets every single one of his followers to basically just march in step behind him, and it is very difficult to write that kind of a character without making them goofy, just because of the mere fact that every single word which they say causes anyone listening to basically follow them. It's very difficult to, write that, and the writers for this pilot were able to pull off that. I believe also another thing which kind of saves us in terms of writing is the fact that we have a ton of character depth, and naturally, since at the time and even today, the Flash is not exactly the most popular or well-known superhero out there. They did have to spend a lot of time covering the Flash's origin, and in doing so, they had to do something for the sake of television that I don't think was ever in the comics. Now, I do have to mention I haven't read a lot of Flash comics, but the last time I checked, the Flash really doesn't have a whole lot of weaknesses outside of, well, he can be shot as long as he's not vibrating his body at the very same frequency that is shared with the bullet that's coming towards him. Yeah, he's done that in the comics. I do know of that. But they opted to give him a little bit of a weakness here, which certainly works, especially if you're going to try to make a Flash show and you have to make him somehow vulnerable, and that is that he gets weak by using his power, which basically means that if say the Flash like runs for far too long, all of a sudden he is not able to move. He gets very, very dizzy. He gets very lightheaded, and you would almost think that tacking on a goofy weakness like that would probably hobble the writing, but no, it actually helps enhance it a little bit, because it keeps the Flash from being a worthless fucking invincible hero. Besides, the fact that, you can kill him if you shoot him. It just sort of helps add a little bit more. Plus, unlike the Justice League movie, this Flash is actually likable. This Flash actually has personality and depth. I am kind of happy about that, and frankly, the writing here is very, very strong in terms of dialogue, in terms of story. I totally understand I'm like rattling off about details, but yeah, the writing here is really good. The acting here is also, pretty good. The acting isn't great. The acting sure as shit was not going to win an Emmy, but it was still really good. I mean, especially for television standards, especially primetime action television in 1990, this was some fantastic acting. Unfortunately, that really isn't saying much when you consider the rest of the shit that was on in prime time in 1990 that was calling itself action. This here was basically the best of a bad situation in terms of acting. But still, the acting was pretty good. Costumes. Well, really, the only costume to really talk about is the Flash's costume, which looks very, very good. And they also spend time explaining how he got the costume itself. I honestly am not going to spoil it because, well, shit, you guys might actually want to watch this thing at some point, and you'll find out all about it then. So beyond that, though, everything else is just basically street clothing, minus the biker gang's little fucking like logo, which is just basically a blood. It's basically sort of like a blood splat, which, mind you, even that is kind of sort of designed very, very well, and it is worked into all of their jackets and shirts and shit very, very well. So yeah, guys, costuming here is really solid, and I just kind of wanted to mention it simply because the Flash's costume looked amazing. Again, especially when you consider the fact that especially since they had to make another Flash costume 7 years later, and it sucked ass. But I'm not going to talk about the fucking Justice League movie anymore. I understand I said that earlier, but god damn it, I'm going to stop. So, was there really anything negative about this besides, the fact that they didn't take one of the Flash's like actual villains and work them into the pilot? And also besides the fact that it had that horrible problem which had plagued action TV shows in the 80s and 90s, where nobody can shoot anything even if they fucking tried. If there's anything else really in terms that I would call negative, lighting seems just a little bit off. Acting in maybe like 2 or 3 scenes, especially the earliest scenes, are absolute shit. Again, though, that is probably because those earliest scenes were probably the very first things which they shot, and they probably didn't even know if this stupid thing was going to get finished at that point, so they just didn't care. But honestly, there really is nothing else that I can mention in terms of negatives outside of, a little bit of, bad acting and lighting, which is sometimes a little bit questionable. I'm going to tell you guys, this movie, at least the fucking version I found on YouTube, is almost stupidly dark. And I'm not talking dark in tone, I'm talking dark in lighting, where even scenes which are shot in fucking daytime look really, really dark. So that could very easily just be the copy I found on YouTube just being naturally dark. However, though, if it is, the pilot itself which had lighting which was that, janky, even with scenes that were set during the day, then, I really hope that they fixed that when they went into the series proper. But the only other thing I can really talk about, and this one here is not a negative, is special effects. Because see, guys, they really only had a single real effect which they had to work on, and that was making the Flash's power look good, which is showing him doing his speed thing and having it look really cool. And it does in every scene except one, and it's a fight scene. It is one of the Flash's few fight scenes where he's squaring off against three different guys, and there are certain times where it would make sense for the Flash to just stand put, and instead they have him like jittering like this, as if you were sitting there, as if you're sitting there, like pivoting on his feet or something, like trying to figure out exactly where to move next. It just seemed a little bit odd. However, though, again, this was, the pilot, and they probably fixed that kind of stupid bullshit in the series proper. Now, the big question when you are covering a television pilot is, did it do what it strived to do? And a pilot is meant to do two things. The first one is to sell the network on fucking green lighting the show. The second one, and this one really only counts if the pilot makes it to air, such as, well, the Flash pilot here, is it going to sell the viewer on wanting to watch more? And I'm going to tell you, I'm kind of sort of curious. I honestly would not have a problem watching the rest of this series. However, though, it honestly is not something I would absolutely go out of my fucking way to watch, which means that if I happen to find the series on DVD and it's real cheap, awesome, I'll probably pick it up and I will give the episodes a watch over time. However, I really am not going to go out hunting for it. And even if it's on Netflix, I really am not going to put that at the very top of my to-do list. This thing here, guys, is good. It's not fucking great. However, though, it might be something worth watching. And who knows? Now, you guys honestly might happen to watch this and just absolutely adore it. At which point, then you're probably going to go out and you're going to try to watch the rest of the series, and that's awesome because once more that then shows that this pilot was able to do what it was meant to do, at least with you. With me, it does have me interested, but it doesn't have me interested enough to truly devote a ton of time to it. So, yeah, guys, I also can give this thing a tentative recommendation. I really can't say you guys must go and see this, but if you ever get the chance, go right ahead, check it out. Who knows, you might actually wind up loving it a little bit more than I did. Yeah, I really wish, guys, I could give you a more solid answer, but I can't. Because it was good, but it wasn't great, and it certainly wasn't shit. It was just kind of average when all is said and done. So, right now, guys, I am just fucking rambling. So I am just going to stop. And if you guys are, interested, you can find this on fucking YouTube. I mean, shit, I honestly was able to find it in about 20 seconds maybe of just, like wandering around, and I was able to find it. So yeah, guys, go ahead, go out there, check it out, and just see if you happen to like it, alright? So with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.